Damn, they can't read our signs. It sucks for them.
Protest.
Oh, look how cute you are. Oh, you want to come here first? Oh, are you scared to see who you are? We can see who you are.
I have the honor of being here at this amazing march with so many beautiful people here exercising their First Amendment right. Who likes their constitutional rights? I also have to go through the boring stuff of doing logistics, okay? So let's make sure that we're all staying safe. Let's take a moment to take care of ourselves and each other. It's hot out here. It's Georgia. So please stay hydrated. There's free water available at the main entrance, and our volunteers will periodically be distributing water throughout the event. If you see people with staff or ACLU shirts or legal invest shirts, let them through. They're trying to help y'all out. Make sure you check on the people around you, okay? That's what community does. We want to make sure that everyone is fine. If there are any problems, let's check on the people around you, okay? That's what community does. We want to make sure that everyone is fine. If there are any problems, let's...
So this is downtown LA.
All right, we're going to turn back now to the riots in Los Angeles. Police are trying to push back rioters as they throw bottles at officers. Law enforcement was forced to use tear gas to protect themselves against these protesters. Christina Coleman is live with the latest for us. Hi again, Christina.
Yeah, they were throwing bottles, rocks, concrete, boulders, commercial-grade fireworks, and you can see officers, they still have a protective line here to try and stop the crowd from going any further. We've come to a point where you see these vehicles here. You can see cars who have been driving down along this way here in downtown LA. I imagine there's some confusion because this curfew, it goes into effect in about a half hour, and you still have a lot of people down here, and different points are closed off. Again, as police, law enforcement, sheriff's deputies, as they do the best that they can to try to prevent any further violence. Again, since last Saturday, there have been more than 500 arrests related to protest activity, most of them for failure to disperse. But you did have the violence. There again, you can see law enforcement. So they continue to shift, they continue to move because it's a very fluid situation out here. Every now and then you have people just tossing, hurling objects at them. Moments before I came on air, we heard fireworks again. So can I imagine those were probably lobbed and hurled at law enforcement. So again, they block off that area. They do what they can. At times they have had to disperse tear gas. They've also dispersed those rubber bullets to clear out the crowd. So they're shouting hold here. You can tell they're doing their best, communicating, trying to hold the line here to prevent any further violence. And as we wait for this curfew to go into effect. But even before that, again, there was an order, a dispersal order for the crowd because of the violence that erupted hours ago. And so people have been told to leave this area, leave immediately, and you can see them disobeying law enforcement. So I'm moving along with my photographer here, and so you can just see this is what we've been doing off and on for hours. We've been moving all throughout downtown as protesters continue to move around in different areas. I saw them getting together in what looked like a little parking area between a couple of buildings, and law enforcement cleared that out pretty quickly. They're like, you need to go. And of course, they don't want people to get together and communicate and possibly cause mayhem, especially with this being such a volatile and unpredictable situation. So that is what we're seeing here. And again, you have so many people here, the protesters who are, they're calling for ICE to be abolished. They're calling for the immigration raids to stop. That is what they want. But that messaging, you don't hear it amid all of this violence here. So I'm standing here. You can see the police here. They're doing their best they can. I've moved just about a block since we've been doing this live shot. Been moving all around downtown, and you have a lot of protesters still here. Again, we're a half hour from that curfew going into effect. It's for a mile around downtown LA. Are you okay, Andy? I'm gonna continue to stay in the street here. You guys watch for me so I don't hit anything. So let's stop here. Let's stop here. So Andy, if you can pan back behind me, look at this line of police vehicles. You see that reinforcement here. They have been, some of these officers, they've been on horseback. They're in their patrol cars. They're in patrol units. They're here on the ground. They're doing all that they can. I mean, this area, there is such a huge law enforcement presence in downtown ahead of this curfew going into effect for them to try and keep this area safe. Back to you.
Christina, if I can just ask you, we talked a little bit about the arrest that happened since last Saturday, and you told me a little bit about the strategy. Can you imagine if all of a sudden police officers started arresting people right now, it would erupt in chaos. But these protesters also cover their faces because they don't want to be able to be identified later. And Attorney General Pam Bondi has said, we will come after you. We will find you. And as a matter of fact, they've gotten a few of the organizers. Are there people still out in the streets? Because we can see the backs of the cops, but we can't see the protesters. Are they still all covered up and trying to hide their identities?
Right. Well, a great deal of them are. And I can tell you this. What Pam Bondi was saying and what the sheriff reiterated yesterday is when people are breaking the law, when they're committing these acts of violence, they might not be arrested immediately, but they said that arrest will likely come because even if they try to cover their face out here, there are so many surveillance cameras. There are people recording things on social media. I mean, law enforcement investigators, they're going to comb through all this evidence and they're going to find people who are causing destruction down here. Right now, LAPD Central Division, they just put on X a message. They said to our downtown LA businesses and residents, please report any criminal activity to LAPD Central Division. Any damage or vandalism should be safely documented. So they're calling on the local business partners out here. They're calling on people who have access to surveillance cameras to turn all that evidence in because they're going to comb through it and they're going to look for the people who have been lobbing, concrete and boulders, rocks, commercial grade fireworks at law enforcement. They say those perpetrators will be arrested and prosecuted and face the fullest extent of the law.
And
back to you.
That'll be very interesting, Christina, to see how that plays out. I specifically was looking at that tweet from the LAPD Central Division, and we're now 25 minutes from that curfew kicking in. And with the protesters on the march, we don't know for sure what will happen, but it is likely that things will escalate. And the businesses, the impact on downtown LA businesses has been pretty significant, it seems, from vandalism all the way to, in some cases, looting.
That's right. You know, I stopped by a gas station this week and just to
She
fill
said she
up,
stopped
and
at the gas station just
I'm not
to
sure if the guy
decide
was
she
the owner,
utilized
but he told me that he had a relative who had a business down here and that his business was just torn up, and how devastated he was, and how he thought the estimate was about $50,000 in damages. I mean, this has just been such a tough year for LA. You've got the fires, and now you've got this, and it's just so unclear when all of this will come to an end. You know, we've seen some of those peaceful protests throughout the weekend. I know we were all hoping for it today. You know, you had that massive, what the organizers called No King's Day protest here in downtown LA. Thousands and thousands of people showed up, and for hours it was relatively calm, it was relatively peaceful, and we're walking away, and then all of a sudden we're getting these alerts that a dispersal order had been issued, and I'm like, what happened, what's going on? And it's because of this violence. We didn't have to go far to see people lobbing things at law enforcement, throwing bottles at law enforcement, and now you have them shifting downtown, and if you pan straight ahead of you, you can see even more law enforcement there. So they're blocking off different points, different intersections to try and control the crowd, try and keep people moving along. And then every now and then you'll just see people break out running, lots of protesters. Now, right now in this intersection, there was a huge crowd, but as you could see, it's gone. And this is a testament to law enforcement and how they are operating. They have a method here where they are moving slowly, they're moving the crowd along, and they're dispersing them, and that's what they want. Okay, so we just saw somebody just threw glass at law enforcement, and we're hearing some flashbangs. So you can see that. Andy, are you able to zoom in? Okay, so you can hear that going off right there. You can see them, if we can zoom in right there, you can see them firing off, trying to protect themselves. I just heard glass shatter, so somebody probably threw something else at these officers who are just doing their best to protect and serve. Really shameful.